Michael, last week after the treaty was signed, you wrote, "The agreement signed yesterday by the government and the FARC is one of the few pieces of good news in a tumultuous world." Were you overly optimistic?
I think so. I mean, it was a good piece of news, but it's not enough to have a very nice agreement that everybody, all international organizations applaud and all the leaders applaud. Nobody objected to it. But the Colombian people have the final word in this one.
Are you surprised by how the vote went at the weekend?
I am surprised. I thought it would be tight, but I thought it would go the other way. I know that there's a significant part of the population that didn't like this agreement, that was going to vote no. I talked to many of them when I was in Colombia last week, and I heard their views. But I thought that because the government's campaign and efforts that they would prevail, but that didn't happen.
Does this really reflect a kind of growing concern amongst Colombians that the FARC rebels have gone from being a Marxist political movement to basically a criminal gang of drug runners, and why on earth should they be let off so lightly? Is that the no camp?
That's the core of it. That's the core of it. Why don't they go to jail? Why should they participate in the political system? And be eligible for office when they've committed these horrible crimes against humanity, according to human rights groups. And that didn't sit very well with a lot of Colombians, and it's understandable. The government argued that this is the alternative to giving them these concessions would have been just to continue war and not have a peace agreement at all, because they did what was politically possible. But the Colombians don't trust the government very much and really made their voices heard.
As we are learning this year, referendums are very risky things around the world. So
Absolutely.
Where does this leave Colombia?
Well, the last night, all of the statements by President Santos, former President Uribe, who led the no campaign, the FARC leadership, have been very conciliatory and positive, and everybody says that we need to pursue peace. But they're going to renegotiate this deal and to see whether the FARC would be prepared to accept a little tougher terms.
So far, the signs are good, right? I mean, so the FARC are saying they're going to stick to the ceasefire.
So far, yes. Both sides have said they're going to stick to the ceasefire. The FARC is not going to go back to war. They said they want peace. They're determined to demobilize their forces. But the question is, when it gets down to the details, will some of them be prepared to go to jail? Will they say we won't participate in the political system? Not the higher level, not the rank and file, but the ones that are really responsible for the worst crimes. Will they be prepared to say that? Hopefully they'll negotiate. They'll understand that this is the best course and result for them, and the people have spoken, and we'll come up with a deal that has a consensus, because this current deal that was obviously the country's polarized and there's no consensus.
Clearly
so
not.
this is an opportunity to build a consensus now.
Great optimism, Michael Shifter. Thanks very much for coming in.